Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Tam Cowan here with me on this Thursday and on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much to so many of you continually now hitting the subscribe button. We really are delighted that you are choosing to support us. And over and above that, the figures for the show, not only the podcast, but the main show on YouTube and the download of our app has been truly appreciated by everyone at PLZ Soccer. So thank you for doing that. And we talk football, that's what it's all about. Tell your friends, share the feed, hit the subscribe button, and if you download the app you can watch it on your phone as well. So Ruffy's here alongside Tam, really looking forward to chatting about the football. Here's the Premier Sports Cup results from last night. How did your team fare? That's the complete results from Tuesday and Wednesday. Hearts 0, Kilmarnock 1, Livingston 1, Dundee United 2, Motherwell 4, Inverness Cali Thistle 0.
I didn't catch that one. What was that one?
Motherwell 4, Inverness Cali Thistle 0, Ross County 1, Celtic 4, Annan 1, Aberdeen 4, Dundee 3, Falkirk 0, Partick Thistle 1, Arbroath 0, and Rangers 3, Queen of the South 1. So from last night's game, well, Tam, we'll let you kick in right away. 4-0, Van Veen looking every bit the striker that you were hoping he would turn into.
It's funny how it works. We'll come on to Dundee United in a minute, but you lose a manager, and you would, players that perhaps weren't playing for that manager, shall we say, or players that perhaps weren't given 100%, they suddenly find, a new gear, a new level, and he's been sensational under Stevie Hamill. And the great thing is about, I think with Stevie, not only has he brought back one of our youth players, Stuart McKinstry, who came on as a sub last night, but in terms of giving the academy boys a chance, and Stephen knows the academy inside out, that was a record that was broken last night when we brought on Lennon Miller, son of Lee Miller, of course, who you'll both know, but brought on Lennon Miller, and he's become the youngest ever Motherwell player.
I mean, it's
he's 7.
Well,
that was incredible.
I was actually going to say, and rightly so, that Motherwell should brag about it. But the one thing that we mentioned about looking for a successor to Graham Alexander was a manager who would embrace the youth policy, which Jim Patterson was in here a couple of weeks ago saying Motherwell have got some really good players coming through from the academy that the manager could use.
Yeah, and not only this year, but Tam will back me up here, it's nearly every year there's young boys coming through. I mean, even away back when McCart was in charge, they were churning them through, but way back then they were coming in and they were getting into the first team and holding down a first team place, and then you're getting the money for them. So no, fans love, I don't know if you do it in your programme, we do it in our programme, and the inside when you have the team and then you have the substitutes, we have a wee asterisk beside to say it's an academy player.
Oh, right, that's a good idea,
which is quite good, because it lets the
right.
fans know that this boy has come up through all the ages. So
these are so advanced, though. That's really great.
No, it's just everything's happening.
Let's put an asterisk in the programme, Tom.
It's not. It's lovely. It's and that was great. And we know as well, though. We're kind of hoping that Lennon Miller will keep him as an example, youngest Motherwell player ever. But if you're a sensible Motherwell fan, we're hoping that we see him blossom at the club. And absolutely, we hope that a bit like David Turnbull or a bit like James Scott recently, or even if I go back in time, Phil O'Donnell, the late great Phil O'Donnell, we hope then that they move on and we get the money, and that helps secure the club's future. Because I could tell you what, Peter, when you look at Fir Park now, what's been done to the stadium, the infrastructure of the stadium, a big chunk of that came from the David Turnbull money. When you look even at the payoff, everybody was saying, God, what a payoff they're going to have for Graham Alexander and his backroom staff. We had all that money for David Turnbull through bringing through our own players. And even again, and it was remarked on again last night, I met a couple of Inverness fans after the game who were remarking for their viewpoint behind the goals how great that Fir Park pitch was looking. We've spoken about it before, getting it all levelled now. It is like a bowling green, and again that costs money. So Motherwell know that that's the model at Fir Park, is to bring through players and sell them on.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi to Billy, hi to Thomas McDougall, as well as Hugh, Scott and Wood. A big hi to Isabel, who sent me a message yesterday. Sometimes, Ruffy, I think of all weeks, we always pride ourselves at PLZ Soccer of embracing all clubs, but I think Isabel's had her fill of Celtic and Rangers, but you know, it's such a big week, and with European football, you can't help but talk about the big games that come thick and fast for the Old Firm. So we make no apology of it on a week like this one, when the first Old Firm derby of the season is coming up. We do want to talk about it, although more often than not, we tend to start with what's the main driving force in the news. Today we gave Tam his chance to bum up Motherwell. They dispatched fourth-placed Inverness Cally Thistle and deservedly into the draw for the next round. But what about Dundee United, Tam? You know, when I look at the whole situation last night, the automatic thing that I thought, okay, great, you've managed to defeat Livingston, who are a side that can cause teams problems, but I thought, you've cheated your team, you've cheated the manager, you've cheated the fans, and I think a lot of those players should take a long, hard look at themselves.
Yeah, it wasn't the first pundit I heard skirting about the words at the weekend. What they were trying to say was that Dundee United downed tools against Celtic, and I thought there was absolutely no doubt about that. And that said it all about the relationship they had with their manager, Jack Ross, who is now effectively out the game, right? He's on the dole, whatever you want to say, right? And, you know, and I just always see it for the supporters' perspective, Peter, because for a start, I'm covered in bruises today for kicking myself last night, along with my pals, when we noticed that Dundee United were 3-1 with the bookies to go to Livy and win. It had a victory for United written all over it because of what had happened, you know, the 9-0, Jack Ross getting jotted, a couple of different guys coming back into the team last night who may have had their differences with the manager, and then bang, they beat Livingston. But I see it through the eyes of a supporter. There have been Dundee United fans who have been going into work ever since that result, walking down the street in Dundee, going into the pubs in Dundee and getting absolutely slaughtered by the rival Dundee fans. You know, who will be talking about this for years and years to come. A 9-0, which is utterly humiliating. So, poor show, I thought, by the players.
Ruffy, you can't hide from the fact that, and by the way, this is Tam and I were talking about it beforehand. This is a crew who all had a meeting without Jack Ross, you know, talking about the 7-0 hammering after AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to start blaming players, because you're either putting a blanket around every one of them, or you're just picking out individuals who never performed. I'm only going from my point of view. I mean, I played in front of a couple of managers, and I never ever went down to the park, whether I liked them or disliked them, to lose the game. You know, it's very, very difficult to lose a game, you know, but if there's things going on behind the scenes that I'm not privy to, you know, and he has fallen out with 2 or 3 of them, then if they've downed tools and went out there not to put up a shift for the club or the fans, and you're right, they need to have a serious look at themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us your thoughts on Dundee United, and of course Motherwell getting through there.
Against Celtic. And can I say as well, you know, there's a lot of the particularly with Celtic scoring 9 goals and being in quite sizzling form this season. Some of the stuff they've been playing has been absolutely incredible. And if you expect, though, that my reaction to the draw Motherwell against Celtic is going to be, oh no, then you'd be greatly mistaken, because when you think about it, Peter, I think the quarter-final is the best time for Motherwell to be drawn at home to Celtic, because if we get Celtic in the semi-final, you're suddenly at Hampden, the vast expanse of Hampden, and Celtic have got the huge majority in terms of the crowd. Or if you're fortunate enough to get through to the final and play Celtic, as we did twice under Stevie Robinson the same season, 2017, again, you're going there. Hampden is like, you know, it's massive. You've got the very, very vocal Celtic support. So if Motherwell had any chance against Celtic in a cup competition, I think the ideal time to get them is in a quarter-final and at home. And that's precisely what we've done. So bring it on.
Yeah, and here is...
ripping the park up for that one.
Well, you know what? That's a fair point, Ruffy. When you see the sort of football...
The grass.
No, when you see the sort of football that Celtic are playing, then, oh boy, they could have a field day on that magnificent surface. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the Premier Sports Cup draw that took place last night. Motherwell against Celtic, Aberdeen, Partick Thistle, Rangers, Dundee and Kilmarnock against Dundee United. Of course, got to talk about Celtic's performance. 9 changes to the side, and Ange Postecoglou mentioned that, you know, he has to change this squad about this season.
The only reason we haven't changed the team a lot up until now is we've had 1 game a week, but that's not the case from now on. And we saw last year that to play the kind of football we want, if you just rely on a certain core of players, eventually they'll break down. And now we're in a better position where I don't need to do that. I can sort of rotate the team and make sure that we've got everyone in really good condition.
Yeah, 9 changes is some going, Ruffy.
Yeah, I didn't think it'd begin this season. I think Tam spoke about it as well. We spoke about the 5 substitute rule. We thought it was going to, help the bigger clubs, and I think it is. Although there was 9 just real changes in the first 11.
Yeah. When
they decided to put in another 5, the other 5 that came on were just as good as the ones that were second choice. And you have to say, and I spoke about it yesterday, I thought last night again, defensively, there's wee lapses, there's people getting chances. So, but going forward, it's relentless. It's the speed, and they don't really care if they lose a goal now. No, they say, right, well, I've lost a goal here, let's just go and get another one. And that's what they did, So that's why I'm looking forward to the Rangers-Celtic game. I'm looking forward to seeing if Rangers can nullify what Celtic have got at their disposal.
Yeah, and it's not as if, sometimes you get managers come out, Tam, and they go, okay, he's made 9 changes, and then the manager comes out and goes, well, we gave these players an opportunity to step up to the plate, and they didn't. It's almost as if they fitted into this system that he wants to play, and it was seamless.
Absolutely, and I must admit, when I was just coming out of Fir Park last night, and I heard that Ross County had got a goal back and it was 2-1 and stuff, I just had a feeling that Celtic were still going to score another couple of goals.
Yeah.
That's just the way they've been of late, but I must admit, if I would very much doubt that when they come to Fir Park in the quarter-final, irrespective of how the league fixtures are that week, or even between the 18th and the 20th of October, the ties. So I'm guessing that either end of that weekend they might even have some more Champions League games, but I can't see them risking playing a weakened team, if that's not too strong a word, against Motherwell. So maybe sadly for Motherwell we'll have the full Celtic strongest 11 up against us, but you saw Rangers did it as well, and in paper that seemed like a wee bit of a wobble, but they were still able to bring in young boys and give them a chance against the lowly Queen of the South, and that's what we're up against. We keep talking about the £40 million that Celtic and Rangers guaranteed by getting into Champions League and how they're so much bigger than everybody else. And it's at times like this they're able to prove it. We all know that.
Yeah. Ruffy, you're not happy with the draw. I mean, I don't know about you personally, or will the board put in an official complaint?
No. I'd like Tam, I prefer the home tie.
Yeah.
Home tie is what you want. And I fancied this a wee bit more strongly than what I do with a away tie. Everybody keeps saying they're the team of the year, they're this, they've done that. I mean, 1 each against Annan in 90 minutes, so they can't be that good, So, no, we're playing well just now. Strong at the back, good midfield, and up front we're scoring goals. So
I think that's a sort of, no-lose situation for Thistle. Getting a draw away to Aberdeen when they're getting a lot of plaudits, but when they've still had their wee wobbles, you could go up there, a wee bit of complacency, maybe for the Dons, and then go up there and surprise them, have a go. And again, the thing is, for the Thistle fans who have maybe been a wee bit starved of the big time, shall we say, in recent years, that's a great wee trip up there midweek. I bet you'll take loads.
Oh, can I just say something, Ruffy? I mean, apart from the fans that you'll take up there, our reporter Kerry was at the game. You've played some good football. You could have won by more against Arbroath. You don't fancy your chances against them, because Aberdeen might have won heavily at the weekend, but playing against 10 men, we still don't. I don't think they've got a real test yet.
No, I don't think they've had a couple of good results after, as you're saying, a sending off or a penalty or something like that. But I don't think they're clicking in all gears yet either. So, like Tam said with Celtic, we might just get them at the right time. We certainly won't go up there and defend. I don't think Colley would do that. We've got too many attacking players, to go up there. So it'll be a good game. I think it'll be end to end. And I say we've only been beaten once this year, so we're on good form. And
let me know if you've seen them. Let me ask you then about Arbroath. I mean, you hear a lot of folks saying, that's it. Last year was the year, bubbles burst, they're going to end up struggling.
No, they're still a hard team to beat. Dick's got them really well organised. Although we were the better side, we just couldn't get that goal. And they defended really well. But I think Dick's problem is he's got injuries. He lost the big boy going to Livingston. Yeah. And they lost the boy Hamilton going back to Hearts. I think he went away back to Hearts. And they've just got a few injuries. The big boy O'Brien, the biggest centre half, is a really good player. He's suspended.
Right. Scott Allen played.
Scott Allen played. Aye.
How was he?
He played. He put himself a bit, you know. But you can see. I think he said himself he's got a couple of weeks before he gets back to speed.
Right. Yeah.
So, but
did he get a few passes in?
Yeah, he's still got that. As soon as if you allow him time on the ball to look up, and if he looks up and he's got players running about him that know what he's going to do, then you're in trouble. You just on the night, you know, we were attacking more than he was.
I'll certainly be cheering for Thistle in the quarter-finals. Same way I'll be cheering for Dundee and Kilmarnock Dundee United in that first. But as a Motherwell fan, you know, you're looking at, if we were lucky enough, fortunate enough, we played well enough, got a break to beat Celtic, then you're hoping for to really motor in the tournament. You know what, come up against another big team. So I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. Would you feel confident if it was Motherwell Thistle in the final? Would you think?
I would love that. That would be great.
Yeah.
That would be. The only thing is, we all need the sick buckets. Cause that would be portrayed as the ultimate family final, wouldn't it? That would be, you know, the cuddly toy of Scottish football against Motherwell, the family club. We do our great campaigning, and we want all the fans to be part of it, and we're owned by the supporters.
Absolutely.
And, you know,
and you've been fined by UEFA. Yep.
Check we'll be able to fill the stadium.
I'll tell you what. When the last final, the Brighton team, was that the last final, major final Thistle were in when you shocked Celtic?
Yes, it was. Right. 62.
Well, there you go. You imagine, for all these folk all round about who have been kind of latent Partick Thistle fans, always had a wee soft spot from, maybe now they might even be season ticket holders at Celtic or Rangers, but maybe brought up in Maryhill, whatever it might be, you would certainly get a load of fans there. And for the Motherwell fans, as much as me, like an old tube, goes on and on and on about the 91 final, I keep forgetting at times, that's now 31 years ago, there's a whole generation of Motherwell fans, all the wee guys, the well boys up in the East Stand, they've never seen Motherwell lift a cup. So if there was a sniff of us playing Thistle in a final and getting a cup, we would be strong favourites, I would imagine. Then, I think tickets would go through the roof. With
all due respect, without having selective memory, you have been to a few cup finals since then.
Yeah, we've been, but we've always get pumped.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Ruffy, Kilmarnock. I mean, I just didn't see that coming, Hearts.
No.
But I'm going to go through a few transfers here and there, but he's going to go through a few deals before we get to the end of this transfer window tonight, because they're struggling.
Yeah. Hearts.
Yeah, they need players.
Before I get to Hearts, Kilmarnock, I think Derek's realised as well that they need to strengthen. They've had a poor start, you know, so he's brought in the boy for Hibs, and I think they'll try and get another couple in, because they were looking as if they were going to be a bottom three, but that win last night will give them confidence. And I think we touched on it last week when Hearts played St Johnstone. They tried to rest 4 or 5 players and it didn't work, and he did it again last night, and it just means that what you've got in reserve isn't what Celtic and Rangers have got in reserve. What you're bringing on isn't the same quality as what you're starting with. Yeah. So I think he'll realise that now, and you're right. I think you'll find they'll try and get another couple in.
But you know what, Peter, but to be fair to Kilmarnock, I mean, we played them obviously at Rugby Park at the weekend, and after maybe wasting a few early chances, albeit we opened the scoring, I think any Motherwell fan that was there, any Motherwell fan that watched it would put their hands up and say, Kelly deserved to win that, you know. And the only thing, if you're wondering about who Kilmarnock might bring in, I'll just chuck this one to you. Yep. And I'm not telling tales out of school, and it's too late in the transfer window now anyway. But I spoke to Derek McInnes after the game, you know, and I said, I deserve to win that, blah, blah, blah. And he said, Kevin Van Veen, he's exactly the sort of guy I'm looking to bring in. So have you seen another Kevin Van Veen style player out there that you could maybe give Derek a wee shout about? Is there such a thing?
Well, he's taking
no, I was waiting there. For a name or a big scoop on it.
I'm just wondering. That's the sort of player he's looking for, and he's got how many hours left?
Well, he's hoping Doidge is going to do that.
Well, he's got Doidge, but
his Hibs has got it, so he's going to have Doidge and Kyle Lafferty there.
Well, if it's Doidge and Kyle Lafferty, when the window closes, he's in trouble.
Well, I don't think he'd be in trouble playing the bottom 6 teams.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're they'll battle away there.
What are you defending them for? You've tipped them to get relegated.
Yeah, no, I still think they'll be bought 3 all the way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. By the way, I like to read out a few of the messages here, and Billy says, Ruffy, if you go up to Aberdeen, head to Rustico's. So there you are. It's obviously.
Well, we're thinking about going up a week before the game, so
is that right?
We'll
just to acclimatise?
Just to sample the atmosphere.
Is that a restaurant, a club?
I don't know. It could be a nightclub. It could be. It could be. Well, that's probably why Billy realises what Ruffy's all about. Although, Tam, Aberdeen, we used to actually go up for weekends. You used to go up for, if you were playing up there, you'd say, let's have a couple of days up there, but only a couple of days.
Yeah, I fully enjoy it. I'd bring on the next one. I've told you before that my commitments with the radio and stuff like that, going to Pittodrie's out of the question unless it's midweek.
Yes.
But if it is midweek and I'm able to do it, if we were playing Aberdeen on a Wednesday night, I would love to go up with some of my pals during the day on the Wednesday, have a nice wee day out in Aberdeen, bit of lunch, few bevies, go to the game, and a wee overnight, and maybe a wee lunch and a way down the next day, and it's brilliant. You know, last time I did that, however, mobile phone was the main story. Mark McGee was central to the mobile phone
of course,
story.
yes.
And we get pumped at 7-2,
right.
and kind of put a wee dampener on the night. But I would love to get back. I think Aberdeen, it's just a wonderful city, and you can get a great night out in it, and they've got great restaurants, great pubs.
But not on a Wednesday, to be honest with you. That's kind of a student night. But Saturday to Saturday and Sundays are right.
we used to go up to Aberdeen the train with Thistle.
Is that right?
And we stopped at Stonehaven, and there was a fault in the line or something like that, and we were held up for about an hour. And about 20 minutes before we came into Aberdeen station, we all had to get ready for the game.
Yeah.
And we're strips in the compartments.
Right.
And I'll never forget us all walking down platform 6, it was, with our aluminium studs on, and jumping into taxis and going to Pittodrie for the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't happen there, I don't think.
No, it wouldn't happen now.
Fault on the line, that could have been his nickname for Scotland.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say to you, of all the draw, I think Rangers will be happy with Dundee, because I thought...
That's Sutton, wasn't he?
Well, I know, but...
You reckon the draw's rigged? You thought, oh, there's a shocker. The Premier Sportsman will pay him some cash
yes,
from time to time.
Let's not get involved in battering fellow members of our media, because that seems to be a thing at the moment when we're all trying to earn a shekel. Rangers against Dundee. Custard pie there. Rangers against Dundee. And the reason I'm saying that they'll be happy with that, because I think both Rangers and Celtic demonstrated not only the depth in the squad, but that they're playing a particular style, and anybody who comes in is sticking to it. And Rangers scored 3 goals against Queen of the South that were all inside the box. It was all that passing build-up.
Yeah, I don't think they'll tend to play more of the younger boys against Dundee, because Dundee are a wee bit better than Queen of the South, but the only winner out of that game is Dundee, because they'll get a few bob. You know, and that's what they'll be looking at.
It's all about the money for you. And you're raging you didn't get Rangers or Celtic, aren't you?
You're talking about £80,000-100,000.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, wait a minute. I just said to you, you're raging you never get Rangers or Celtic.
Well, only for the financial side, but I would have taken them as well.
Right, he's Mr. Sheepskin coat, shirt and tie, cigar now, as we know. He's up on the board of directors, right? But as a supporter, I'm sure, if that had been reversed, though, Dundee would still have got money if it was Dundee versus Rangers, and I think there'll be a lot of Dundee fans. I'm not taunting a fan. If they come out the hat, and I half expect Rangers against Man, I thought, there we go again, and we'll just get pumped, you know. But same if we'd been drawn at Celtic Park. But the minute you're at home, there's that wee, you never know, you know, that great psycho. I always say, Peter, I think a psychologist, a top guy, could have a field day with it when you think, what is the difference between, I'll use Motherwell as an example, us going to Ibrox and being terrified, us going to Celtic Park and think, we're never getting a result here, but when they come to your end patch, you think, there's a wee chance here. I mean, the pitch is more or less the same, dimensions and that, the goals are the same size, but it's the same object, put the ball in the net. I don't know what goes on in players' heads.
Well, what goes on in your head then? Because I sense a little bit of I sense a little bit of optimism.
Aye. Optimism, I'm 2 words, Stevie Hamill.
Yes.
I've really enjoyed what he's done. He's changed our style of play. It's not just hoof ball from back to front. We played some really nice. I know we were playing against a lower league team last night, right? But I thought we played some tasty stuff, and I think everything that I said about Stevie before he got the job has been backed up so far. I think he's the main man. Yeah,
I mean, I take your point, and I like your enthusiasm for it. I'm going to give you an opinion on it. I just look at the draw and I'm saying to myself, okay, Rangers will batter Dundee. Right. That's the first thing. I'm not going to. I think you've got a right chance against Aberdeen if you play to your full potential. And I think Killie against Dundee Utd. I'm going to sway towards at the moment Kilmarnock, but unless they get a manager, just because they're at home, because the Dundee United, we don't know who their manager's going to be yet. There's all sorts of.
They get a manager
names
in quickly and get him sacked before this game.
Well, they'll not.
Players might.
There's another two managers to go before they get there.
Who took the team last night?
Liam Fox. Right. But I think Motherwell Celtic, Tam, the way Celtic are playing at the moment, I just think you're going to get battered.
I know. It's need to keep it tight. I'm not trying to do Stevie Hamill's team talk from, but like to keep it tight maybe for the first 20-25 minutes and then see if we can maybe pick Celtic off, because they are such a almost cavalry charging team. They want to entertain the fans, they want to play at great speed, as Ruffy mentioned earlier. Maybe just trying to catch them in the hop or whatever, or you're looking for having to take advantage of every free kick, every set ball situation, you know. We just but the absolute no lose situation, because again, Peter,
the free hit.
Celtic are going in there Tuesday coming, they're in there against Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And as I keep saying to MD, listen, well, you never hear about the financial gap in the media, and you never certainly hear about it for the Celtic or Rangers camps when they go into Europe. You know, you hear about it when you go into Europe.
Yes.
What chance have we got? Real Madrid, PSG, Barcelona. They never mention that when they're up against Motherwell.
Yeah.
And the financial gap is bigger. I
like the fact that you mentioned that, because obviously my brother's a Motherwell fan, and that's he just says it all the time. No,
that's your brother.
No, my mother doesn't. My mother doesn't speak to my brother because he's a Motherwell fan.
North Lanarkshire, where your mother's your brother. Dearie, maybe you've seen Psycho, aye? I wish she could join us, but she's sitting up in the loft.
Well, Norman from Belfast says, Tam must believe in Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy and the Jolly Green Giant. So there you are.
Where's he from?
Belfast. Right. He's just saying, he's just obviously listening to what you've got to say about it all. But
you know about the Tooth Fairy. Do you know that the toothbrush was invented in Belfast? Was anywhere else it would be known as a teeth brush?
Right, Norman, I'll give you his email address.
Give him it. That's my rule. MD is a go. So he's clearly a Celtic fan.
He's brand new. Listen, Norman's great.
Because I'd one the other day with a pal of mine, and I thought, you know what? Pal's I was at both Calder Primary and Motherwell with him, one of my best pals. High school, played first time with him, right? And we got back in touch only a few months ago, right? And at the risk of name checking another Motherwell boozer, it was Electric Bar, we met up. I've not seen him for years and years. How you doing? So me back to me hoping that he was now still a Motherwell fan, as I kind of thought he was when we were kids, but
yeah.
Absolutely die-hard Rangers man, right? Staunch as they say,
yeah.
Right? And so we had a wee bit of an exchange the other day on messaging each other, and I thought, you know what, if a Rangers fan ever has a go at a Motherwell fan now, it's an open goal. I says, I personally couldn't give two hoots what happened back in 2012.
Yeah.
Life goes on, get on with it. You'll not hear it coming from me, for a guy who supports a team who went into administration.
Yes.
In 2002.
Absolutely.
The company, not the club. But you'll never hear that from me unless somebody has a jab at my club, because then you've left an open goal. So he'd a go at me about, you know, I was saying about, what was it he said? He said, I'm going to ask my boss if he can take the staff down to Liverpool for the game. Liverpool against Rangers, proper belts and braces job, right?
Which we are doing.
And I said, if you're going down to Anfield to watch Rangers, don't take any belts with you, don't take any braces, don't take any shoelaces, right? You could be in for a pummeling. He gets straight back, you get pumped by Sligo Rovers, you know. Yes. And I said, and it was true, I says, well, we did have a 100% record though, against Liverpool. Played them in 1986, beat them 2-1, and you may remember the game, Peter, it was Motherwell centenary game, that's why we played them. And I said, who are you hoping to play when it's your centenary? It was an open goal.
Yes.
That's the only reason I'll ever bite back.
You need a noise up.
With such venom.
I'll tell you one thing that is good about today, Tam. It's been extended, the transfer window, to today because of various cup matches that obviously the teams were involved in. So managers have got that opportunity to get any last-minute signings, and I would hope, I don't know about you, Ruffy, it could be done and dusted by now, but Mikey Johnson, Hearts were looking at Mikey Johnson to try and get him. There's a suggestion of him going to Vitoria Guimarães as well, but I would love to see him stay in Scotland. I'd love to.
I like him. I really do. I think he's got some. Unfortunately, it's not happening for him. He comes on the park for 50, 60 minutes, electric, and he's very good. The end product might not be there, but that's just a lack of games for me. And injuries as well. I think he's been injured as well. So, no, I think if a Scottish club could get him, I think he would light up our game. Yeah,
absolutely. I'd like to see him stay in the game. And, of course, there's all sorts of...
What happens at Dundee United in that note, right? I mean, what's the mindset of the board now? Do they think... we need to very quickly, they've done it already, we need to bring a manager in today and give him at least a few hours to...
No, they don't.
That's what you've got.
No, because I think Dundee United are one of those clubs that I think, without fear of any contradiction here, I think Dundee United are one of those clubs where that board signs players.
Oh, right.
And managers have to look at it and say...
Allegedly.
Well, no, they do.
Do they? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. That board signs players and the managers obviously will have a say in it, but there are players that are signed in at Dundee United and you say, get on with it, coach them. That's not unique to Dundee United, Tam. The whole world's changed. There are clubs now who sign players and say, you're the coach, here's the players, you've given us the positions, we've managed to get this player in. So I don't think it's utterly unique. I mean...
How many players did, you might not know the answer to this, but how many players in the... 10 weeks that he was there, 7 games. How many players did Jack Ross bring in himself?
Well, he definitely brought in McGrath,
McGrath, Fletcher. He got Levitt back on loan.
Yeah.
And I think another two.
Levitt's a permanent deal, is it not?
Aye, but I'm saying they had him on loan.
Yeah.
If any players that Jack Ross brought in, were there any fear from them that Jack Ross is gone?
Well, I don't think so. I think what's going to happen now, Tam, is that window will shut with maybe Dundee United looking at it and saying to themselves, well, we'll let Nicky Clark go to St Johnstone, so we might look and maybe bolster the squad at the front line. But I think Tony Asgar will sit down and say, okay, could we get, where are we light, bang, bang and bang, and then the manager comes in and go, this is a squad, this is what we think you can achieve with this squad up until January for the window. I mean, even Rangers at this point might look Ruffy and say to themselves, well, hang on a minute, is there a chance of spending money if Glenn Kamara goes out? Because there's a real chance that he could be on his way.
Yeah, and for good money, if we're led to believe that's the money we're talking about, and I'm sure any quality manager with the amount of games they've got coming up in Europe and SPL, they want a bit more players in. So I would like to think the Rangers manager and the Celtic manager have got a wish list there, or a list of people on a piece of paper who they know they could maybe get at a reasonable price, because they'll take any quality that's going about.
Yeah. I mean, Thomas McDougall says, Peter, have you been told this about Dundee United, about the board, or is it just gossip? It's not gossip, it's a fact, whether it's Dundee United or any other club. I am not the first one to look at clubs who've signed players that the manager just hasn't sanctioned. Now, Jack Ross will have looked and said to himself when he came in there 10 weeks ago, he'll have sat down with the board and said, I'd like this and this. But some players were signed before Jack Ross got there.
Is that not Tony Ascar? Is that not Tony Ascar's remit? That's what he does. He's a director of football. Yeah. He identifies players and brings them in.
Listen,
so that might be the remit with him.
No, but it's not unique to this season.
No, I'm sure there's lots of clubs in England.
I could rhyme off a wad of clubs who brought in players that managers have thought, wait a minute, I'll tell you another one. I'll give you another one right now who could be on his way out at Celtic. James McCarthy. Was brought in.
I don't know about him. What's happened?
Oh, he played last night, but he could be on his way out before the end of this window. He could be on his way. Ayeti's out, and I know for a fact that some players have been signed. Neil Lennon didn't want them at Celtic. One of them I would go as far as to say was Barkas. Neil Lennon wanted David Marshall. He certainly didn't want Vasilis Barkas.
Yeah, I think it depends on the manager as well. The manager's the one that calls the shots. I don't think Ange for a minute would allow somebody else bringing a player in.
Aye.
No, he looks that kind of guy. Certain clubs have that mentality that if you give me a quality player, I'll take him. But it doesn't mean I've got to play him.
If you heard or watched interviews with Jack Ross sometime after the 9-0, right, he was clearly, wherever he was, lying under a bed for half an hour or berating the players or whatever. I heard, we were on air at the time, and we got the interview that Kerradine Idison had done, right? And Kerradine, you've met Kerradine many times, lovely guy, very professional. I thought Kerradine did a brilliant interview with Jack, just pitched it right. If at the very end Kerradine had put that rocket into the equation and said, Jack, one last question, do you sign the players or is the board? How do you think Jack would have reacted?
In what respect? If I had said to him, there wouldn't be a need for that. Jack Ross would have been in there and said, that's not the issue we're debating here. What we're debating is, if Jack Ross is in there and he said, look, I'd like 2 or 3 players and I'd like him and him.
But that's not the question.
Or if somebody comes...
If he'd been asked, do you or the board bring in the players, Jack? Final question.
Jack Ross would say, I have the last say on it.
Right, okay.
That's what he would say.
Right, okay.
But there are occasions when some clubs buy players in without the manager.
I've got a new gig as well before the transfer window shuts. No, I'm working, accepted the job working as a bin man. And that was it. And there's extra boys needed, of course, with the rubbish that's in the streets and that. And I said to him, I said, do I get any training? And he says, no, you just pick it up as you go along.
You just these are new ones that he's just trying out for next year's fringe. You know. Anyway, apart from anything else, lots of people saying
you'll have United, won't you?
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of teams going to make last-minute moves. Who do you think you should go for? Will there? In fact, with that in mind, I might as well say to you, Ruffy, you know, we're talking about players in and players out. Celtic looks as if they're looking at Ruben Kazan and thinking, you know, this is an ideal club to cherry pick. Oliver Abildgaard is the latest man who looks as if he will be paraded in the Celtic strip before the night is out.
Yeah, well, it looks as if obviously the complications there with the war that's going on there, and they're getting hit financially. So the players they've got that are £8 and £10 million are being shown the door and saying, look, if you want to play football, there you go. So you're right, they're getting them at a good price. The boy looked sharp last night.
Yeah, the Ruben Kazan. Haksabanovic. Yeah. Okay, here's our quiz question. We should have done it at the top of the programme, Tam, but we're too busy congratulating Motherwell. Here's the question. In which year was the transfer window brought into effect?
Oh.
So, there you are.
That's a great question.
It's a good question, isn't it?
I never think of that.
Well done to Blair, who came up with that.
It overlapped with Bosman.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
A separate issue?
I was thinking, I made a guess on it, I was a year out. But do you want to take a wee stab at a year? Because everybody else will have a wee go at it as well. Do you want to have a go at a year for the...
I'll guess the transfer window came into effect...
Yeah.
Season 92-93.
So you're going for the start of the Premier League in England?
Well...
Is that where you're going?
No, I wasn't even thinking of that.
No.
But thanks for making me sound quite intelligent.
It depends on how you think I've made you sound. Right. So you've got 92, 93.
I'd go probably 97.
97? Mm-hmm. Oh, right.
Did we get the answer? We're leaving it dangling.
No, we'll go answer at the end of the programme.
Just picked.
No. To be fair, by the way, Tam and I knew you just picked a number. There wasn't as if there was any intelligent thought process going on there. Listen, have a wee stab at it. You never know, you might get it right.
Can I ask a question? I've been dying to ask.
What, is that a quiz question?
Aye, but I've been dying to know, and I don't know if you know it. What is the AZ in Alkmaar?
Oh, I asked this aloud in the radio a couple of weeks ago, and forgive me, I can't remember the exact answer, but the A and the Z were 2 separate clubs, and they came together to form what is now AZ Alkmaar.
Brilliant.
That is fantastic.
I didn't. You're right. I didn't know that either. And it just came up. Everybody was talking about the 7-0 and then somebody said, "But hang on, what does that actually mean?"
Yeah. Okay.
Bodo Glimt came at the Conquerors, the famous Conquerors of Celtic. Was that Bodo Oblique Glimt? What did you know what that meant?
No, did you?
Was that too? No.
Could have been. Okay, I know where you're going, so shut up. Don't even go there. To be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, there's the
Dumbarton is in Dunbartonshire. Why does it switch from an M to an N?
Do you know that? No. Okay. What I can say to you.
Why was Tarzan clean shaven? How does that work?
how we get Tarzan into the show, I'll never know. And of course, Robert Brown says, what does PLZ stand for? So, there you are.
Do you keep that a secret? To only your select few that know?
No, I think it's fairly easy to guess it, isn't it?
It's a lovely answer.
Okay. Yeah.
And the off chance you've had a raging row with the good lady wife last night,
I'm
that's the
dreading
sort
it.
of thing you can get back into her good books with. So come on, tell it, and we'll put on the tears. So PLZ stands for?
It just stands for Peter, Lindsay and Zoe, which is my wife and my daughter. It's as simple as that. But you're right, Tam. I mean, if it all goes pear-shaped, the company's just going to look really silly, isn't it?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I would still drag you outside and give you a bleaching for soccer. Soccer!
I know. I get pelters for that as well. But
Drag you right out there on the sidewalk.
we're going
At you a length of aluminium.
we're going to.
Drive away in the car, stopping for gas.
We are going to move into the North Atlantic.
I hate the word soccer.
Yeah, do you?
I hate it. It's like Worldie. He scored a Worldie and you think, oh God, it makes you cringe.
Is that right?
Who you playing up top or away? Come here, you.
Would you like us to drop it?
Aye.
Yeah, will we drop it?
Rebrand everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to, what you say, you're ready. Nah, well, I know if you want to progress and move forward,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You know, there's a few personnel changes as well.
Well, there are a few.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that, by the way. We've seen them. They've come and they go, Tam, don't they?
These folk
the badge
begging for a
kissers. Do
dinner
you know
and
the only
everything.
ones that we never actually...
I've never eaten.
I know. Do you know the only ones that we never have any worry over?
Who's that?
You know, as far as the badge kissers on the programme,
Yeah.
there are two people that I know are definitely not badge kissers.
Who's that?
Who have stuck through thick and thin. 2 or 3 people actually.
Right.
One's McDonald because he's been here
Yeah.
since the start, which is absolutely fine and dandy.
Great, yes.
And of course, you know, when you joined us, you're from Motherwell,
Exactly.
Lanarkshire.
Exactly.
You know, a spade's a
Exactly.
spade. You're not going to. You're not that type of person.
No, absolutely.
You know, I can remember sending you the text and making the bid for you, and
Yeah.
you know, and of course, Ruffy's not a badge kisser. He's the most loyal guy you could ever wish to take into the trenches with you.
No, absolutely.
Don't know about the church.
Can you imagine he said to us, I'm off next week, I'm away. Anyway, this weekend I think is an absolute belter because quite simply we've got some fantastic matches. The countdown will start really in earnest tomorrow as well on the programme, but Celtic Rangers go head to head. It's going to be, I think it's so difficult to call, Robbie, because I look at Rangers and I wonder what tactic they're going to adopt going to Celtic Park. And you look at Celtic and the way they're playing at the moment, it's a clash of two teams that are really, I think, you know, at the top of their game, give or take, you know, maybe the odd one addition by the window tonight, but I don't see it being anybody that's going to feature in the game.
No, I think it's two styles of football. We see the way Celtic play, a lot of pace, a lot of energy, not taking anything away for Rangers. They can control that, you know, and for me it's all about possession. It's in possession, how do Rangers break through that Celtic defence? You know, because if Celtic have a lot of possession, there's going to be a lot of attacking going forward. But I'm really interested. I keep harping on that Celtic defence hasn't been tested, and I keep mentioning that guy, and he was at it again last night. My favourite Celtic player that I like having a go at sometimes, Starfelt.
Yeah.
He was at it again last night. You know, he just seems to be. There's lots of clubs have a player that's always in the vicinity.
He's not going to
when there's
start.
a goal.
He's
when
not
there's
going to
a goal.
start though.
Well, we don't know that. We
No,
don't know.
he's not going to start.
No.
If there's an injury, he might start.
Yeah, the point I'm making is he always seems to be there. I thought there was players at certain teams, if they lose a goal, he's always the one that's diving in later. He's always the one that's getting out jumped or whatever. And maybe that's just
It's
absolutely.
I think you've got a bee in your bonnet about
Aye,
him, Ruffy.
possibly, aye, but that's what supporters do.
No, but three or four months into his arrival at Celtic, I thought he was a bit of a bomb scare, Starfelt. But then slowly but surely with Carter Vickers, the two of them started to build a partnership. And you can only deal with the facts, Tam. And the facts are, quite simply, that by the time they really get into a groove and eventually won the title, they were very miserly with giving away goals.
No,
so I thought Starfelt actually suddenly became a key player for them. But the manager's changed it. You know, he's gone for Jens and Carter Vickers.
And again, though, you're right, but if I was a Rangers fan and I was looking at this game, I would think, you know, it's been all Celtic all but flair so far. Maybe right on Rangers, maybe a bit of resolve, bit of steel, you know. But I would still argue that you know, Celtic are a lot better going forward than they are at the back. Yeah. Right, if you had to rate from midfield up compared to midfield back, I would think they're the top guys that are up front. So I don't think Rangers can stand back and admire these guys. So I think they've got to have a go. We know it is Rangers are the visitors, Rangers are the away team, and all the usual cliches that you spout with that. But I think they've got to have a go. I've got no idea how this is going to turn out. I'm really, really fascinated by it, and I just think it's a shame that because we're on the radio at the same time, a lot of people will miss it.
Yeah, I have to say, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, you know what? This might be the nearest. We never. I've told you this before. We never, ever, unlike so many other radio people that I know, we never have the screens on in the studio if there's a game on at the same time.
Oh, do you not?
I don't think it's fair. We're talking earlier about, you know, accusations of Dundee United last night cheating the fans. I think you'd be cheating your listeners who have tuned in to hear your show, to hear your programme, if they're basically getting grotty second-hand reactions to the game that's taking place at the same time. When we've got the cans on in the studio, we tell our producer, no, but the same on Saturday, Celtic against Rangers, if there's a goal, if there's a red card, if somebody streaks on the pitch, something of incident, tell us and we'll convey it to the listeners. Other than that, we batter on our own show.
Is that right? That's good that the boys show that integrity, Ruffy, because when I was at Radio Clyde and we lost the rights to the commentary to the BBC, we had every telly on so that we so that we can stick it to them.
Exactly. You'd have kidding on you for the games. You're getting the vending machine going and you're on your fourth packet of Watsons.
I know. Look at Scott. Oh, what a goal that was. Let me take you through it. Anyway, it's intriguing. Thanks, Paul Andrew.
What's the, do you know, I'm sorry to always go back to the bookies here, but what are the odds in the game? Do you know if you looked at?
No, I will
get them before the end of the show.
I'll get them before the end of the show, but can I read out something here, which is Paul Andrew says, Ruffy, do you think teams don't give up a single chance? It's pathetic. He says Starfelt will start on Saturday 100%. Paul, listen, you might be right. Frank Green says Starfelt will start. And Stephen says Starfelt will definitely start. His pace gets him out of trouble, and for all his nonsense, Celtic's defence is the best in the league by a mile. Jens was at fault last night, not Starfelt. I mean, listen, it's all about opinions on it. You can only go with what the managers have started to select on a regular basis, and you know, maybe Starfelt will start. I don't have the same thoughts that you have on him now. I think the boy deserves to be cut a bit of slack because he's been part of a miserly Celtic defence. But as far as the two teams, you know, it's great to look forward to because Tillman, great. Lawrence playing really well and now a fan's favourite and he's only just in the door. Cholak scoring goals for fun when McDonald said he didn't look as if he was going to score goals. He's been banging them in.
And Mark Gately.
Yeah,
I've seen them both slaughtered for that, you know, but hey, it's all about opinions, and at least, you know, back in the day, I remember hearing folk and I thought, fair play. It was Gordon Smith, it was an old chum Gordon, who whenever he was asked about how he thought a game was going to pan out, like this one, Celtic Rangers, Gordon's stock answer was always, I'll need to see the lineups.
Yes.
And they used to chuckle and have a wee laugh at him for that, but I think it's perfectly fair. I think folk looking at the games last night, when you see the team that Celtic put out at Ross County, you know, if you'd asked them for a prediction before the game, I think I want to see the lineups would have been a fair enough point. But
it's a cop-out, Tom.
But they get in early with what they thought for their first look at Cholak, and you know, and maybe there was a lot of Rangers fans agreed, but the guy's been dynamite in the last few weeks.
Listen, I read somebody writing him off after 2 games. I mean, give me peace. He's scoring goals. He's scoring them because he's inside the penalty box. And when you look at Celtic, you've got Kyogo, you've got Jota who can score. Giacomakis isn't even getting a starting place. He can score. You know, Maeda. I agree with Tom McManus. It's definitely not going to be one of those games that's 0-0. I think there's definitely goals in this one. But Hugh Scott says, Peter, in fairness to Hugh, he said Cholak would let Rangers down in Europe, but in the SPFL he'd be fine. Okay, it turns out that he was he was minced to right enough. But listen, I think Hugh's even looking at Cholak now and changing his mind on it. So it's definitely going to be interesting. We're getting a lot of people obviously all offering their tuppence worth for that one. Thanks to our digital journalist Cheryl, who says Alkmaar Zaanstreek is the full, and it may well go back to what you were talking about, two teams, AZ coming together. Gallant says it's going to be 0-0. I don't think there's a catch chance in hell it's going to be 0-0.
If it's 0-0, the two goalkeepers will have to be in their best behaviour and producing saves left, right and centre, because I think the two goalkeepers are going to be a big part of this game.
It's the sort of game, all joking aside, I will of course have it recorded, and I'll come home from the Motherwell Dundee United game on Saturday and I will sit down and watch it, and I'm hoping then for my own entertainment an early goal. See if you get an early goal in that Celtic Rangers game on Saturday. Doesn't matter who scores first. I think it's going to be dynamite.
Yeah, I think we're in for a goals fest in this. This is get a 3-2 written all over it, Ruffy, or a 4-2.
Yeah, it's too early for me. I need to see the teams.
Shut up, you're just a moron. He's just a wind-up. I'm trying to get the odds for you, Tam, because it's going to be one of those ones where I don't think it takes a genius.
I'll say it before you tell me the odds. If I thought you could get Celtic anything close to even money at home against Rangers and the form they've been in, I would maybe plunge in.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't start getting, when it starts odds on and ridiculous, I wouldn't go with that. But if Celtic were even money, if it was a double your money try to get rich scheme, I think it'd be worth a few quid. But I'm saying that as the man that's in a bad run, having missed out last night on Dundee United too. I was convinced just the way it panned out they were going to hump Livy, and they did.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we'd all a bit of money on it, but nevertheless,
How's the horses treating you these days, Ruffy? Well, he's looking up.
Horses last night. Ian Jardine, Hamilton Races is the couple. There's a horse trainer, and forgive me for mentioning his name. He's a big Partick Thistle supporter.
All right.
Big businessman, and he's got racehorses obviously, and they race in the colours black, yellow and red, the Partick Thistle colours. He's a really, really nice guy. And
Is there any winners yet?
Yeah, he said 2 or 3. He had a big one the other night there, 4-1. Wee bit.
Yeah.
Oh, well, good for you.
Good for you. I can't find it. Would you believe it?
As much time as possible.
We did. Honestly, I can't find it.
One of the punters who tuned in will furnish us with the detail. Just looking for the odds. Celtic Rangers on Saturday.
Cheryl will get us them because she's on that kind of a case with it. But nevertheless, English Premier League results from the last couple of nights, because it was a full card right across.
Well, I can get the odds now. you carry on with that.
Well, I was going to say, Crystal Palace 1, Brentford 1, Fulham 2, Brighton 1, Southampton beat Chelsea 2-1, Leeds United 1-1, and it was Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 1. Now, of the games last night, Ruffy, I'm going to talk about 2 in particular. Man City 6, Nottingham Forest 0. Tam McMahon has said on here he reckons Haaland will score 40 goals this season. By the way, I think he might score more.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps scoring hat-tricks, and he's a big lumpy guy, and the pace that he's got, they just can't handle him. It's an old style centre-forward that we've never seen for a long, long time. I mean, Man City haven't been playing a real centre-forward in a number 9.
Aye.
So he's old school, but in that team he's going to get bags of chances, because they've got really quality players.
It was great last night because folk kept posting it and reposting it, the chat with Jeff Stelling and Phil Thompson. About the transfer money that this guy had gone for and all the rest of it. Obviously this was a historic tweet that had been put up, but they were basically dismissive of the boy, and you think, dearie me, I mean,
he's
what
got
a player.
everything, Tom.
What a player. I mean, as much as I'm not totally tuned into the English football the same as you know that, but when you do watch the match of the day too and whatever on the Sunday night, and you see players like that, and you think, goodness me. But what I need to get for you yourselves, you'll be all this, I'm sure. Lots of accusations, of course, for Newcastle fans that they were diddled last night with a late goal. They were saying it was 5 minutes added on. Liverpool got it in the 8th minute. Now, we've seen that before. And the only way that I've got no sympathy for Newcastle is a lot of accusations. Liverpool fans screaming back about the time wasting, incredible time wasting.
Well, I have to be honest with you. As I said before, I am a huge advocate of stop the clock. I think if there's one thing that football across the world should embrace, is when the ball is not in play, stop the clock, and it stops every cheater that's in the game. Everyone who wants to gain an advantage, if the ball is not in play, clock stopped. Then you get the fans get their full 90 minutes, and then if you want to roll about all you want, because the clock's still...
Make a clown of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're just saying it's fine, the clock
and if you want to make 7 substitutions, on you go. The clock stopped. But thanks to Jim Little, who says it's Celtic 10 to 11, 11 to 4 the draw, 3 to 1 Rangers.
Well, right away, Rangers fans will be saying 3 to 1, 3 to 1 Mado. If they're confident in their team, if they like what they've seen so far, they know it's Celtic, the flair players, etc. But
would you go 3 to 1 Rangers?
10 to 11. I would be more kind of pulled in that direction now, rather than. And you can't accuse me of being a hypocrite. I said it'd have to be even money, Celtic.
Right.
And I think, that's interesting. 10 to 11, you're only the proverbial ball hair off it. But 3 to 1 Rangers, I think if you're a Rangers fan, you'd have a wee tenner, 20 quid on that, surely to goodness.
Okay. Liverpool 2-1 was the scoreline, Ruffy. And again, I think up here as well, we always moan about when people waste time. This is what Jurgen Klopp and, graciously, Eddie Howe had to make of a last-minute winner.
So in the end, I was really happy in a moment when we got this last corner in the 98th minute, and what Mo and Fabio made then of it was obviously absolutely outstanding. A wonderful goal, perfect moment that we scored in after 98 minutes. I thought is the perfect response for everything what happened during the game.
The final whistle was never coming from our perspective. But because it never came, we had to defend that situation better than we did. It's a cruel game. These things happen. Hugely frustrated with that last action. Someone else needs to tell me whether it's, we should have still been playing. I don't know.
Yeah, that was. I think he was really keeping his composure about the fact of whether it should have been that additional time or not, Eddie Howe. But they're going to be a side to be reckoned with in the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, they are beginning, and we all thought initially when he went in there, they would be spending 100 million and 90 million and all that. I think they're just gradually building up to identifying quality players, and I think you're right. I think if they get up to maybe top 6. This year, I think next year you'll see the owners really going for it.
See the risk of switching it back to Scottish football for a wee bit. What in the end up? What was the story with Eddie Howe and Celtic? Because it seemed that they were almost at the stage of stitching his name on memorabilia and all that.
Yeah,
it was the only name that was mentioned, and bang, never happened.
I think there was a number of issues that just kind of I think there was a bit of.
I think he wanted to stay in England.
Yeah, he did.
I think he had enough kudos to know that there was going to be a team that's going to come up that would appeal to him, and they would appeal to them, and he's fortunate he got Newcastle, because that's just a sleeping giant.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure the Celtic fans wouldn't swap by the Ange for end of the now, but I was always intrigued what actually happened.
I don't think a lot of managers really fancy coming up here, and all right, Rangers and Celtic, great, and playing in European football, but there's other fixtures that they've got to deal with as well.
Yeah,
so
I think there was a lot of things going on behind the scenes that Eddie Howe was more intent in going elsewhere, and he had to be convinced of the whole Celtic job, and there was a few twists and turns in the deal, shall I say, that I think he just wasn't into it in the end.
Don't forget your quiz question, by the way. The horrible feeling we were going to run out of time.
We're not going to run out of time.
It's a great question.
Here is the answer to that question. The question was, in which year was the transfer window brought into effect? Ruffy, you went for?
97.
Tam?
I went for the start of or summer of 92-93 season.
2002.
Wow, was it?
Yeah.
So long after Bosman, so
I mean,
clearly
it's 20 years ago, Tam. I mean, it's hard to believe. 20 years ago.
It is.
We're all getting on.
What would the reason they would have given for it? What would that have been? The most sensible reason for a transfer window?
I think the most sensible reason was to try, at this point, I think the initial PR spin on it that was coming out was to try and stop big clubs pinching the best players from other teams to kind of obviously weaken them over a 6-month period.
Their own team.
So
you'll just take
you make your signings and then you play with what you've got. But in the end, I don't know about you, Ruffy, but
they brought in a January one.
They brought in,
makes it even easier.
Well, absolutely. They just change it completely, don't they? And they go and buy players again.
You realise there are pub quiz buffs out there, Peter, who will know the answer to who was the first player to move in a transfer window. That would be an immense question.
Yeah.
Immense answer, certainly.
I think in that transfer window is a great question. I think we'll maybe make that tomorrow's question, Tam. But I think one of the first Bosman players, I think, was certainly John Collins was in the top.
Was that right?
Yeah, John Collins, I think, was one of the
Monaco times.
Yeah, yeah. So took full advantage of it, I think, and ended up going to Everton. Right. It's a good question. Join us tomorrow on the programme, because quite simply it's the countdown to the Celtic Rangers match, but there's also some big games, as Tam mentioned there, that we'll be talking about in the Premier League in Scotland. We'll look at the English Premier League, and we'll also have another quiz question for you. Thank you to so many of you who have absolutely kept it clean and given us their thoughts on the game without swearing, as we're in a kind of an old firm week. Tam, give us your prediction before we go.
I'm going to go, I think it's going to be a high scoring game, and I'm going to go 4-3 to Celtic.
4-3?
Aye, there you go, 4-3 to Celtic.
Okay, I think it's going to be a high scoring game as well, Rafi. Are we going to give it on the Thursday?
Tomorrow.
Are we going to wait till tomorrow?
Yes,
it's good to get
the teams first.
You'll do well to see them tomorrow. Anyway, Tam thinks 4-3 Celtic. What do you think? Join us tomorrow. Hit the subscribe button. We're on live at 4 o'clock. But PLZ Soccer is 24/7. Download the app. You'll get all the breaking stories. Thanks for joining us.